All right, hello friends. Good to see you guys here. Today's session is on XAT form filling. So as you guys know, 15 July, like last year, like every year it happens. 15 July XAT form went live, right? Which means that it is open for registration, and so here we are with a session on how to fill the XAT form. In fact, I am going to cover a couple of things before we go on to the XAT form. For those of you who have a doubt on whether I should appear for XAT exam or not, whether I should take XAT exam or not, right? So we will start with a quick discussion on that and then go on to how to fill the form. It's a short session, probably next 20 to 30 minutes. We will be done with it. So let's get on immediately. Okay, so let me share my screen. And let's begin. Okay, so XAT 2025 form filling. So there is a slight confusion that I want to clear. This XAT that is coming up is XAT 2025, which is corresponding to CAT 2024. Why is that? That's because CAT 2024 happens on November. So November 2024, I think 24th November is a Sunday. So that is when CAT is going to happen. After that, in January is when XAT comes in. XAT is generally the first Sunday of every year, January every year. So that is exactly when XAT is going to happen. So XAT, suddenly CAT 25, 4K corresponding XAT becomes a XAT 25. So let's not get confused about it. The upcoming XAT is XAT 2025. And we are talking about the registration and form filling of XAT that is coming up. So with that, let's get on to the first thing. First of all, what is XAT? How is it different? Should I appear for XAT? So let me start with a very interesting sort of a discussion. Let's stay on this slide first. There's something called diversification. I hope you understand the word diversification, right? Let me give you a very different example. Let's say I have, and this is my favorite example too. Let's say I have some 10 crores lying beside me. Okay, I have 10 crores with me, and I'm figuring out what to do with these 10 crores. And one of you, gives me an idea that, sir, why don't you invest in the stock market? And then, okay, I'm like, yeah, fine, we can do that. So where should I invest? And one of you says, sir, Reliance में डाल दो या Adani Greens का stock खरीद लो या XYZ stock खरीद लो. That is going to definitely increase in the next 6 months. Market 1 lakh पहुंचेगा ही पहुंचेगा, and you should invest in this particular stock. So following that advice, expert advice, I go and put those 10 crore rupees into that one stock. In the next 6 months, let's assume that either that stock goes bad, it goes kaput, or the stock market crashes. And I lose my 10 crores. My 10 crores become 7 crores or 6 crores. I lose 3 to 4 crores of money. And if I come back to you saying कि तूने क्या suggestion दिया यार, this is a bad thing for me, you turn around and tell me कि सर क्या पूरा 10 crore डाल दिया एक ही stock में, पागल हो क्या? ऐसे होता है क्या? What should you do? You should first identify कि कौन से 3 sectors में डालना है, या blue chip funds में डालना है, या small cap में डालना है, and you diversify your risk. And in that particular sector or in that particular category, you put it in 3-4 different companies, so that if one company or one sector goes bad, your money is still safe. Some of you will go one step further and tell me, okay, sir, don't just put everything on the stock market. Put some in the debt fund, buy some bonds also. So put some in gold, put some money in real estate. So then you diversify. Ke bhai, chalo 5 crore maine stock market mein I put in the 10 different stocks, right? 2 crores I put in real estate, 1 crore in gold, 2 crore in bond market, and so on and so forth. So I have diversified my portfolio so that I don't end up losing money. Okay, because if something will go bad, the other investment will still save me from losing that money. This is called diversification of risk. How does it figure in this particular session? So if assume that your cat, touch wood, hope that doesn't happen to you, but let's assume that on CAT day you are not feeling well, you have 103 fever. That happens. I remember one of my students who took a cab, and on the way his cab driver made a mistake and met with an accident, and the student got delayed, and when he reached the center it was too late, the doors were closed. That one day you were putting entire prep on that one day of CAT, which is not a very smart thing to do. So for the sake of diversification of risk, you should be appearing for more than one exams in a particular season. That could be XAT, that could be NMAT, that could be SNAP, that could be GMAT also. So you have a lot of options with you, to diversify your risk. Apart from that, if we talk about the top 10 colleges or the top the tier 1 colleges or tier 2 colleges, so top 10 colleges ki baat kare, so you have a institute called XLRI Jamshedpur. XLRI Jamshedpur does not take any other exam but XAT. So if one wants to try for XLRI Jamshedpur, whether it is the BM course or the HR course, both the courses are at the top, right? In terms of the ranking of the colleges. So if you want to try for an XLRI, you have to appear for XAT. All right. So having said these things, XAT becomes a very important second exam for you. In fact, XAT notification has come out even 15 days before CAT notification comes out, right? Which tells you what kind of an exam, what kind of a serious college XLRI is. So having said all these things, let's quickly get into the first question, which is how is XAT different? Structurally, XAT is quite different as compared to other exams. For example, CAT has 3 sections in which they cover 5 subjects. Which 5 subjects? There's quant, that's one section. Then there is verbal ability as a subject and reading comprehension as a subject, which is a second section, another section, VARC. Then you have logical reasoning as a subject and data interpretation, DI, as a subject. So you have LRDI section. So there are 3 sections which cover 5 different subjects. XAT covers 3 more subjects. It is for a longer duration, more number of questions. So structurally, it is very different. Even the marking scheme in terms of the correct questions and the negative marking for the incorrect questions is also very different. Okay, so let's look at how XAT is different. So let's quickly summarize a few things. First of all, as compared to some other exams, XAT there is no rush. What I mean is it is not a speed test. Like CAT, XAT is not a speed test. CAT and XAT both are not speed tests. What do you mean by this? Okay, on the other hand, probably a SNAP or an NMAT, you could call them a speed test. So in CAT, for example, you have 6, so let me put it out for you. In SNAP, you have 60 questions to be done in 60 minutes. That's one question, 1 minute per question. So that's how much time you get. For NMAT, it is 108 questions for 120 minutes, in 120 minutes. That is 1.11 minute per question. Going forward, CAT is 66 questions in 120 minutes. So for every question, you get 1.81 minutes to solve the question. Of course, you're not going to do all the questions. So technically, effectively, the time per question is more. But this is an average of all questions. Okay. So in XAT, you have 76 questions to be done in 175 minutes. That is 2.3 minutes per question. So this is absolutely not a speed test, unlike SNAP or NMAT. Right? So there is no time rush involved in XAT. That's one element that how XAT is different. Secondly, there is a section called decision making. What is decision making? So decision making is so let me take some time and explain this to you. Why does CAT test CAT ki baat kare? Why does CAT test a quant or a verbal or an LRDI? There's a specific reason behind that. So as a manager, you'll be using the skills or the aptitude required, right? Which is quant. So quantitative skills or problem solving skills, mathematical problem solving skills will be important to you as a manager. Similarly, verbal skills, reading skills, or critical reasoning skills will be important to you as a manager. So they're checking the aptitude. LRDI. Why does LRDI figure in these exams, CAT or XAT or SNAP or NMAT, is because when you make decisions as a manager in a company, when you're handling such a big business or multiple crores of revenue and so on, a lot of decisions come from you. These decisions cannot be made on the basis of emotions or guts. Of course, emotion and gut has its own importance, but decisions are always based on data. So data analytics, data-based decisions, logic and reasoning-based decisions are the more correct decisions, and those decisions fly when you talk to management also. If you don't have data, if you don't have logic behind what you are deciding, that will not get approved also, or that might not work for you. So basically, LR and DI happen to be very important to make decisions. So they are checking that as an aptitude for the exam. But XAT goes one step forward. XAT says कि LRDI तो check करेंगे ही. We will check LRDI skills or aptitude. I want to also go forward and check directly what the decision making skills are. Can a student make the right decision? Right. So decision making as a section is something which is very special to XAT, which is not there in any other exam. Right. XAT is more of a language and decision making heavy sort of. So CAT में अगर देखोगे, you will find it's very heavy on quant and DILR in terms of difficulty level also. XAT में, of course, quant is of a certain difficulty level, but it becomes a language and decision making heavy sort of an exam. Right. So that is a slight difference between the two exams. So this is sort of a snapshot of what XAT really is. What's the essence of XAT? Now let's go a little deeper into it and look at the expected pattern of XAT 2025. This expected pattern of XAT 25 is based on XAT 24, how it was conducted. Okay, so there are two papers in this exam. The first part, or the first paper, has 3 sections. The first section is verbal ability and logical reasoning. If you see, these guys have divided DILR into 2 parts. LR को verbal ability से connect कर दिया है. They've connected LR with verbal ability, and the section is called verbal ability and logical reasoning section. The other section is quantitative aptitude and data interpretation section. So DI they've connected with quant. And the third section, hence, is your decision making, which is an entire section. So if you look at the questions, VA and LR, verbal ability and logical reasoning, is 26 questions. Quant and DI is 28 questions, and decision making is 22 questions. Right? That's a total of 76 questions to be done in 175 minutes. 175 minutes is roughly 3 hours. 5 minutes less than 3 hours. Okay, so 3 ghante you will be writing 76 questions of XAT. Now, before we go on to the paper 2, let's look at the percentile that is required. So for 95 percentile, to get a 95 percentile in XAT, right, in verbal ability and logical reasoning, you need only 13 questions to be done. Another 13 questions in DM and 12 questions in QA and DI. So less than 50% questions need to be done, or about 50% questions will get you a 95 percentile. Or a total of 35 questions, to make it easier, will get you an overall 95 percentile. Okay, so having said that, let's go on to the paper 2. The paper 2 is a GK and VAT. So VAT ko hum, let's call it analytical writing. Okay, so analytical essay writing. Now, what do you mean by essay writing? So you have to write. You're given a topic and you have to write an essay on it. But this is analytical writing, which means whatever you're writing, first of all, it will be a argumentative or opinion-based topic. And on this opinion-based topic, you have to, of course, take a stand or give your opinion. But you also have to quote your reason, your logic. You have to support your opinion by facts or examples. So it's an analytical writing sort of a paper, right? So if you understand that, this means that you will have to prepare separately for decision making. You will have to prepare separately for essay writing, and you have to do some preparation for GK as well, right? So you get 30 minutes to write these 25 GK questions and 1 essay, right? So that is 30 more minutes after 175 minutes. So that makes a total of 210 minutes. It's a long paper. It's a 3.5 hour plus kind of a paper, but it's a very different and very interesting sort of a paper. So fun experience to write XAT, because I do that every year, right? So this is how the XAT pattern looks like. Let me also quickly talk about some other details of the paper pattern. So MCQs in XAT, multiple choice questions, have 5 options, 5 choices to pick from. Okay, so that is what the MCQ looks like. In CAT, we have 4 options, right? Similarly, if you talk about the scoring pattern, right, for every correct answer, you get 1 mark. And for every incorrect answer, you get a minus 0.25. So it's a 1/4 negative that they follow. In CAT, it is 1/3 negative. In XAT, it is a 1/4 negative, right? For no attempt questions, also there is a deduction. So if you leave a question unattempted, there is some penalty, that is minus 0.1 marks. This also applies after 8 unattempted questions. So first 8 questions that you don't attempt, there is no negative marking. But in the 9th question onward, there is a minus 0.1 point that is deducted, right? The part 2, which is the essay writing and GK, there is no negative marking there. So this is a XAT pattern, right? And if you notice this XAT pattern, it is actually very typical to XAT, which is very different from a CAT or an NMAT or a SNAP, right? So XAT is a very exam which is in itself, by itself, right? So that is how it is. So let's now move on to the next part. Let me share my screen again. Okay. So moving on. What are the colleges which accept XAT score? Of course, XLRI accepts XAT score, but there are other colleges which also accept XAT scores. So, for example, XLRI Jamshedpur, you have 2 top courses: HRM, Human Resource Management, and BM, which is Business Management, which is a regular core management where you can do a specialization in marketing or finance and such. So, these 2 top courses are among the top courses in India. So XLRI, you can very easily put among the top 5 institutes in India, whether it is HRM or BM. HRM, it is a top college, along with, it shares a position with TIS Mumbai, Tata Institute of Social Sciences Mumbai. But there is a slight difference in the 2 courses also. So XLRI Jamshedpur is more of a human resource management angle, whereas TIS is slightly human resource development angle. We will talk about this later. We will have a session coming up all about B schools, where we'll talk about different B schools and different courses in therein, right? But this is just to give you a snapshot of things. So these 2 top courses of XLRI, the average CTC of XLRI goes to 32.7 lakhs per annum. Okay, and then there is XLRI Delhi, which is XLRI NCR, right? A lot of students have a perception that XLRI NCR is a second institute to XLRI Jamshedpur. However, it is not treated so by XLRI. So basically, the placements are similar, the faculty members are similar. So basically, it is exactly the same place as XLRI Jamshedpur. So XLRI Delhi is another opportunity which has come up in the past few years of getting into a top B school. Then you have XIM Bhubaneswar. Now, XIM Bhubaneswar takes both CAT and XAT. All the below institutes that you see, XIM Bhubaneswar, MICA Ahmedabad, IMT Ghaziabad, IMI Delhi, TAPME Manipal, Ford School of Management, and so on and so forth. All these institutes accept both CAT and XAT score. Some of them might also accept NMAT. So that gives you more than one chance of getting into that B school, right? So that's how XAT will also help you. The essay and the GK section is considered only by XLRI. The other institutes don't consider the part 2 of the paper, the second paper, right? It's only the part 1 which is considered, right? So these are the institutes that accept XAT score. And if you are actually filling up XLRI, the XAT form, then you should also fill up the other forms which accept XLRI, maybe as a realistic or a backup college, right? So that's what you must do, because XLRI, I'm sure, would be as an aspiration for you. But there are other realistic and backup colleges that you must fill up. Again, going by the idea of diversification of risk, you must diversify your risk. You must put your eggs in more than one basket. So having said that, now let's get on to the topic that we are at. Now that you understand XLRI, you understand the institutes, you understand XAT as an exam. Now let's get into the form filling part of it. Okay. So this is how your XAT registration link opens too, right? So your XAT form filling will come here. You see on the right, there is a login button and there's a register button, right? So we have to click on the register button to register for the XAT exam. Once you register that, this kind of a form will open up, a basic form, right, which will help you log in to the XLRI portal website, right? So you enter your name, email address, mobile number, take a password of your choice. Please remember, write this password somewhere, because you will be using such password for CAT, XAT, SNAP, and MAT, and a lot of other college forms also that you'll fill up will require you to remember these passwords. So either the password has to be common, but if for security reasons, if you have a habit of having different passwords, then keep a password that you don't forget, or write it down somewhere. Have an Excel sheet, note down the password somewhere that is readily available to you when you want to use them. So put a password, select your state and city accordingly, put the captcha code and tick on the agree to receive information and register. So this will complete your initial process of registration to the XAT website. Once you do that, the screen will open to this. Okay, so you will get a confirmation email on the email ID that you have shared on the previous registration page, login page, right? So you have to verify using your email. So go to the email, click on the verify email link given to you, and verify this email. Once you do that, right, then you can go ahead and put other information that is required. So once you've verified your email, then you go back to your XAT application. This kind of a page, you log in and this kind of a page will open up. So you have to apply now. So there are two major parts to it. Apply, you fill up the form and apply to the XAT application, and fill up the fees, the application fees. There are two parts largely, right? So let's click on the apply button. Once you do that, there are these 4-5 details that are required. So there's basic details, academic details, work experience details, test city details, and so on, that we'll go on by one. You please look at the instructions here, right? So field marked with the asterisk mark, the star mark, are mandatory. You have to fill them up, otherwise you cannot go ahead, right? Candidates will have received their login ID and password in the registered email ID and the mobile number that you provided, right? If you're an overseas candidate, you will receive the login ID and password only on the registered email ID and not on the mobile number that is shared, right? Ensure that you put all the data which is correct. Please understand, if there's any incorrect data that you have entered by mistake also or deliberately, that will affect your application later on. Let's assume that you get a 99.5, 99.8 percentile in XAT, and you get a call from XLRI. If your information is incorrect, your call or your final selection can be withdrawn. So please don't fake, or please don't put your wrong details. Okay, so make sure you do it right. Okay, so once you get into the first part, which is the personal details, these are the things. Now I will go into some important elements. Some elements are very obvious, but some elements need some understanding, right? So title. So this is someone from my team, Devanshu sir. He is one of the faculty members at Career Launcher. So we've taken screenshot from his form. So you pick a title, Mr., Mrs., whatever, right? You write your first name, middle names, last name. First name and last name are mandatory. Middle name is optional if you write it, right? You write your email ID. An alternate email ID should be provided. Just in case there's a mistake with the first email ID, an alternate email ID will help you retrieve the data. Your mobile number, alternate mobile number, if your parent or your friend, the best friend, or your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, or your sibling, but put an alternate email ID of mobile number of someone who is accessible to you and who will inform you immediately, right? Date of birth. Once you enter the date of birth, your age will be automatically calculated as on 31st August 2025. Now I remember someone who was filling his form on 15th, 16th, 17th of July, a couple of days back, right? There was a problem there, right? The age was calculated wrong. So 2025 की जगह -1 year calculate कर रहा था from your birth date. So if you are a 22-year-old guy, it would calculate 21 earlier. I think this has been corrected. Now it is showing the right data, right? So now the correction has been made by them. Is what I understand. But in case you feel there's a problem, feel free to reach out to me. All right, I will try to provide my details. I could request my team who's there to put down my phone number and email ID and my name, so that people can reach out to me if they have doubts, right? So date of birth, once you put, your age will be auto calculated. Then you select your gender, your nationality, your marital status, and your blood group, right? These are your basic personal details that you are entering. Once you do this, you go to the next part, which is country of residence. This is country of residence. So wherever you're residing, is what your country of residence is, not your country of birth or whatever, right? Do you belong to PWD category? PWD category is a person with disability. There are certain definitions. So if you think you belong to a PWD category, mark yes. Okay, you can later get a medical certificate to that effect. There is generally a percentage, what percentage of disability you have. If you have certain disability and it does get approved in terms of you get a medical certificate and they accept it, there's a benefit of the percentage cutoff for you. So you may utilize this if at all, if you belong to a Kashmiri migrant family, again there will be some benefit there, so please mark accordingly. Right, then comes the parents detail. So you can enter your parents detail. Again, please fill it right. After that, the communication address. Please keep communication address that is the most accessible to you. It is possible that you might have a place where your parents are staying, you might have a permanent house, and you might be working or studying somewhere. So you might have 2-3 different addresses. One address which is the most continuous, or where people will respond if any communication comes, they will inform you. So keep a communication address which is very readily accessible or available to you. So what communication address you can put here: country, state, district, city, address line 1, 2, and pin code. Right, once you do this, you save and exit, or you go to next. Okay, so once you do next, your basic details are saved. Please save them and come to academic details. So now you have to fill up the academic details. The academic details for CAT, XAT, or any other exam or any other form that you fill, even for the institutes, make sure that the data is exact and correct. So you should sit with your 10th standard, 12th standard, or graduation mark sheets before you enter those details. Don't just put a random whimsical memory-based number, right? For example, I don't remember what my 10th or 12th is because that was long back, right? It's almost more than 20 years back. So what do? I by memory I can put 83% as my 10th score. Don't do that. Give the exact number, for example 82.8 or whatever that you have. So first of all, you pick the state, SSC 10th or equivalent state, right? Once you go to the second part, you put the institute name, which is mandatory. Then you select a board. Is it CBSE or ICSC or any state board or so on? Year of passing, correct. This should be correct. And the marking scheme. What is the marking scheme? Is it the CGPA, or is it percentage based, or is it grade based, or whatever? And then the obtained percentage or CGPA. If you have a problem of converting, your board would have, you can go to your board's website and see what is a conversion percentage. So there's a calculation given to you. Agar CGPA is a percentage CGPA, or if you have ABC grading, the grades converted to percentage, you'll get those kind of calculations on the website of your board. So go and check that and put the right number that you find there. Okay. So after 10th qualification, have you done your 12th HSC or 12th or equivalent, or have you done for diploma? Some of you might have after 10th applied for diploma, not a 12th science, commerce, or humanities, right? So that please mark accordingly, and then go on to fill that up. So do you have any professional degree like a CA, CS, ICWA, CFA prior to your bachelor degree? So along with your BA bachelor's degree or prior to that, If you've done another professional degree, so like chartered accountancy or company secretaryship, right, CA or CS are professional degrees. They are not graduation degrees, right? A CA is not a graduation. A BCom is a graduation and CA is a professional degree. So if you have done some sort of a professional degree, please mention it here. Okay. The next is graduation details, the graduation type, graduation state, which state have you graduated from, and the university or college type. You pick what is given to you. Of course, there are options of others also given there in case your data doesn't match, right? Uh, Coming to the details of the graduation, like your 10th and 12th, you put your graduation detail also. What is your degree? What is your discipline? Degree meaning BCom, BTech, whatever, MBBS. Discipline meaning, let's say I am a BTech in electronics and communications engineering. So I'll put BTech in electronics and communications, year of passing, which year you've passed out, your result status, is it pursuing or completed or so on. So result ka status kya hai, right? Your marking scheme, again, the total, what is the marking scheme, and what is the percentage of CGPA that you obtained, right? Rest of the things will get auto-populated. Do you have a postgraduate degree? So if you are pursuing or if you have completed your post-graduation, please mention it here, and then you can go on to the next section. This completes your academic details section, and you come to the third part, which is work experience or program detail. Now, I understand that not all of you might have work experience to fill up. If you are a fresher or if you're pursuing your graduation, you will not have details of work experience, and that is fine. That is okay. It is not a mandatory thing, right? So आपको यहाँ पे, so the first question asks you, which is a mandatory question, do you have work experience? You can say yes, you can say no. That question is mandatory, but work experience hona is not mandatory. Similarly, another question that is mandatory that you see is, are you currently employed? Yes, no. Right? If there is a yes to the previous question, then you have to fill in your work experience. Otherwise, it will all be zero and not applicable. Okay. If you have worked at more than one places, there is a on the bottom right, you see a more wala section. So you please click on more and you can add multiple experiences that you've had, work experience that you've had, multiple companies or multiple designations that you worked on, or multiple industries that you worked on. You can put multiple things there, right? Once you do that, your total work experience will be calculated in months because you entered the from date to date, right? So everywhere it will calculate the total months of experience that you have. So that is the work experience details that you've added. Now we come to the program details. What are the programs you are applying for? This is a very important one, guys, because what students do is कि यहाँ पे एक आध भर दिया कि मुझे तो सिर्फ PGDM में BM में ही जाना है. If you fill it up, then you might not have a chance later on to change it. So make sure that you think this through. Marking more programs is okay. Marking less programs is not okay. मतलब extra mark कर दिया तो कोई problem नहीं है. There's no problem there. Okay. So do you want to apply for XLRI? You have to mark yes. Otherwise, ZAT भरने का sense क्या है? अगर if you're filling up ZAT for the other colleges, good. But write yes for XLRI. What if you get a good percentile? You might get a call from XLRI Jamshedpur. So don't be too negative and don't be too harsh on yourself, right? Always mark a yes when on this question, that is, do you want to apply for XLRI? Apart from that, you have an option of selecting programs. Again, I am very strongly telling you that the first two programs you should tick. Everyone should tick. A lot of you will say कि sir HRM में नहीं जाना है. Okay, नहीं जाना है. Don't worry, don't go. First, fill it up. Keep an option. Get the score, percentile. If you get a call, convert the call and then think whether you want to go or not. Because at the end of it is XLRI. Okay, so let's not be very selective at this stage when we don't have too many options, right? First generate options and then be selective about it. That's my motto. Okay, so the first two options, postgraduate diploma in business management, PGDBM, and postgraduate diploma in human resource management, PGDHRM, that should be definitely filled up. Then we come to postgraduate diploma in management, GM, which is an 18-month course. You may or may not fill this up. This is more for a person who has experience. So if you have more than 2 or 3 years of experience, you should mark this also. Okay, just in case. Apart from that, you have FPM, fellowship program. What is fellowship program? It is more to do with the research. So it is more like a PhD program, So it's not a PhD, it's called an FPM, but that's an equivalent. Okay, then you have auxiliary RBS double master's program in supply chain and supply chain analytics. So if someone is specifically interested in this, you may apply. If you're interested in operation, supply chain analytics, you may apply for this. But check out the course details first. Go to XLRI website, check out the details before you apply for this. But no harm marking it. Okay. And then you have postgraduate diploma in IEV development. This again, you should go and check the course. If you feel that it is something that matches your interest, you may apply for this. This is in the Delhi campus only, right? So you may take this up, right? But so this is the logic of filling up this section. Now we come to the next section, the fourth section, which is test city details. Here is where you have to carefully pick up the test city. Okay, I do remember that XAT ne ya NMAT ne kisi ne to, I think it was XAT, last year had thrown people to weird cities. So be very, very careful about what city you fill up. Otherwise, you'll have to go to a city very far off from where you stay or where you work or where you are from, right? So test city detail mein you have two preferences, 6 preferences, but the first 2 or 3 are the most important. So select your first city preference of where you are the closest to, जो आपके लिए accessible है easily. So first 2 or 3 preferences should be filled that way. The next 3 can be filled up accordingly what is available, right? So go ahead and fill it up as per what you feel is right. Okay, now we come to documents. Now before you go on to fill this form, keep these documents ready, in my opinion, or check if you have them in the DigiLocker. You should have them in the DigiLocker. You can directly fetch it from there. I hope you guys know what DigiLocker is, right? You have all your documents there, right? Including your passport size photograph or signature and so on. So you can pull those documents from there, or you can upload. So you choose files, karke, you can upload your document from your computer, from your system. So you can do that. Just make sure that it has to be a JPG or JPEG file. Only those are allowed, and it should not be more than 1 MB size. ये पहले ही check कर लो before you sit to fill up the form. Okay, and then you add a proof of identity, Aadhaar card, PAN card, whatever. So passport. So whatever proofs are available with you, please put it here. This is very important. Again, you have to carry that proof of identity with you. So you should have that identity proof with you, not just in form of a photograph, but also in a physical form to carry with you, the original. Okay, so make sure that you be careful about uploading this section. I am repeating myself. Please make sure that the data is correct, right? Later, you will not get a chance to correct it too much. Secondly, there's another word of caution. A classic mistake that the students make, saying that registration deadline to XYZ hai, it is 15 days away, 20 days away, 1 month away, November mein hai XAT ka, right? So all of those things are fine. Don't wait. Please do not wait. What happens is student end up forgetting. So आप सोचो कि मैं बाद में भर लूंगा, मेरे पास I have 3 months, 4 months, but you will end up forgetting, and the date will go out, and then you will have missed the window of opportunity there. So please make sure that you take up deadline of Saturday, and by this Saturday, or by this Sunday, or maybe by tomorrow, just make sure you fill the form. ये एक चीज में please never do a delay. Okay, I'm saying this with a lot of emphasis on do not delay this at all. Again, just before I go on to declaration, the word of caution extended. We are expecting your CAT thing to also come by 28th. Your notification will come by 28th. Maybe on 28th or 29th, we will go live and do this session, right? Form filling for CAT. So don't worry about it. But make sure that before that you finish that, so that you can focus on CAT form filling in the next week. Okay, so make sure that you are on time to do this. Okay, as far as the declaration goes, you have to write your name, give a date, and give your declaration, right? So and then you have all your details that you filled, will come to you. You can review it. Also, you can go back and review. 2,600 rupees is the price of filling the XAT form. XLI form is included in this. Other college forms are not included in this. So you will have to fill a separate form for XIMB and TAPME and GIM and so on. If you MICA. So if you want to fill up those forms, right? So the application fee is 2,600 rupees. You should make the payment. Check your details that you filled up properly and make the payment. And with that, you would have completed the registration for XAT. Right? Thank you so much. This brings me to the end of what I wanted to say. I'm sure you've given a lot, said a lot of questions out there. So I'll check if there are some relevant questions right here. Do we put overall 10, 10, 12% or the best of 4 or 5? Depends on how your board considers it. It is safe to put a overall one. But for example, in science, science student put only the science subjects K marks, right? So that is your choice. But generally, I would suggest you put the overall one, right? Yeah, Gauri, I'm coming to the question. Sir, if somebody is in 4th year, then what we will write in terms of work experience? Neha, if you are in the 4th experience, you will not have work experience, right? So you write that. So the question that is asked, do you have work experience? You say no. Fair. Does the work experience need to be in the relevant or related field or any field of any field of work experience is a work experience? First. Secondly, work experience is not something that you've done in part-time or internships is not considered work experience. Work experience ka 3 definition hai. If 3 parameters are fulfilled, then that is called work experience. The first parameter is it should be done after the graduation is over. Anything done during or before graduation is over is not considered a formal work experience. It is considered a part-time experience or an internship. Okay, so that's one. So the first parameter is it should be after graduation. The second parameter for work experience is it should be full-time. So again, if you are working for 4 hours, 5 hours, it is a part-time experience. It is not work experience. So full-time experience is called experience. Third is it should be paid. Free experience can be considered a internship or training or something, right? So experience consider karne ke liye, it has to be full-time, paid, and after graduation, right? So Ojasvi, that answers your question also. Swaroop, that answers your question that freelancing does not come under work experience unless it is paid and it's full-time. So freelancing done paid, full-time, and after graduation will be considered work experience, otherwise not. Okay. So I think this covers a lot of doubts. Have I missed out anything? Your XAT mocks will start very soon. So make sure that happens, right? Will this be saved in YouTube playlist? I think Career Launcher team has already answered this, that yes, it will be saved in the playlist also. Okay, so I think we've covered a lot of questions. Sir, I've been working in my father's company from the last 1 year. It will get considered? Yes, it should get considered. Make sure that you get necessary documents, and I'm sure you have some account details also that you can show as proof in terms of salary or revenue that you're drawing, right? So Ayush and Satwik's question is, I have not received my graduation result. So whatever you've received till now, uska aggregate le lo. If you've not completed graduation, it's a aggregate of the semesters which you've received results of. If you are still working, the 2 column in the work experience, kahan tak, from and to. So from date is when you started, to is where today's date, as of today. You are still working there. Okay, so I think I've covered all the questions, guys, and it was a good session. We did it for 45 minutes, 44 minutes, so we've not gone too long with it. All the best to you. Make sure you don't miss the deadline, and whatever you need, CL is here to help. Reach out to us. I think my details have been shared in the chat. I would request the team to share again so that in case someone has missed out on the details, and it will help you. So with this, guys, thank you so much. I wish you all the best. Goodbye.